Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How's everybody doing today? So thank you guys once again for tuning in to another video. So anyways, as you guys can see, we have a completely new setup and it's pretty nice. Yes, I know. So if you guys could let me know in the comments of the stream if the sound is coming through okay and if the video quality is okay and if everything looks good, because again, this is a new setup, and as you guys know, as soon as you try to do something new, usually something gets really messed up and we don't want that to happen. All right, awesome, perfect. So with that being said, as usual, we got a couple stocks to look at today, so hopefully we can find something good. As many of you guys know, AMD was an absolute stellar stock yesterday with the news with Google, with the news with Twitter, something to do with the new chips. And I apologize that I wasn't online yesterday to notify you guys of that stock. I hope that you guys were able to find that on your own, or some of you guys were still able to trade that through the means of some other resources. But anyways, one of my coworkers yesterday that helps along in the chat room, our team admin Brandon, there was a really big storm that went through his neighborhood, knocked out the power, the roof got taken off his house. So yeah, he wasn't able to trade yesterday and help us. So that's why I wasn't on YouTube yesterday. So I do apologize about that. All right, so let's get into screen share here because we just don't have that much time. I'm going to do something here. I'm working with a new setup, so everything's a little bit odd. Let's do this. We can put that over there. We could shrink. No. There we go. I guess that works. That's cool. But then I won't be able to see the comments. See, that's the problem when you can only work with 2 computer screens. You need like 10. Shrink this down. All right, we'll get this down. Don't you worry. A couple times in the rodeo, and this will be just perfect. There we go. Perfect. Yes, I do have pretty short arms. Thank you for that. Thank you for noticing it. All right, so let me get into screen share here. That's kind of sitting on the screen odd. Give me 2 seconds. Perfect, kind of. That's better. All right, awesome. So here we are. We're not looking at the euro and the pound. We're going to be taking a look at. First, we'll touch on RKDA because it's like and the only reason it's on my watch list is because it's like the only penny stock that we've seen in about a decade. So here we are. So this is RKDA, and so far this morning it's been pushing up pretty well. If you look, there's a little bit of news on it. They have some stuff to do with some FDA or USDA approval, blah blah blah. More fluff news, right? This isn't really it's not like it's news with Amazon or news with Google or something like AMD where they create this really cool new computer chip that Twitter and whoever's going to be using. This is our typical fluffy pump news that we see within the penny stock market. So, this isn't buy RKDA and hold it for the next 2 weeks because you're going to become a millionaire. That would be like buy RKDA, hold for 2 weeks, and you're going to be read by a mother. So again, this is something that should only be probably focused on for day trading for the early morning and then possibly the afternoon, depending on how it forms throughout the morning. It's not going to be an afternoon runner if it spikes up in the morning and then comes crashing all the way down below key levels right in the morning. It's only going to be a good afternoon trader if it's, generally spikes in the morning, pulls back and holds, and then starts grinding back up towards the highs on the day. Then it has some potential to be a runner here. So thank you guys. Appreciate you for all those that like the new setup. Yeah, I've been putting in some work. I've been actually working recently, something that I haven't been doing as much recently. So RKDA, so let's take a look at this. We're going to take a look at the yearly chart here, so stick with me. We're going to start running through the stuff pretty fast. So you see this gap here in the chart at about $5, $5 down to like $4.13. There's this little gap here, so that's what we call a gap in the chart. Penny stocks and any stock in general like to fill gaps. Remember this from Boiler Room Trading and Connor Polifron, this guy. 90% of all gaps within a stock chart get filled at some point in time. That's the whole crystal ball part, at some point in time. Statistically, though, about 90% of all the gaps in a stock chart get filled. What does getting filled mean? Well, we're not talking about your order getting filled. We're talking about that dead space in the chart getting filled by the price action, right? So the price comes back, fills that dead space, okay? So let me show you an example of this, and then we'll come back to RKDA. So let me move this a little bit closer so I'm not reaching so much. So SPY. All right, so you see here, I don't know if I said it to you guys. I might have. I probably mentioned it. Again, I do so much stock stuff. I honestly don't even know who I talk to these days anymore. I don't really have friends. I just have stock people that we talk. But if you see here on the chart, right where my cursor's at, you can see this little dead space. I'll zoom in a little bit more. You can see the dead space from this. I'll draw it from this square. This is like the dead space right there. That little square is the dead space. So as the market gapped down, we kind of held past couple days, and then we bounced back and filled the gap. This is very common. You're going to see this all the time. I'll show you a couple other examples. See if we get a good one here. You know, and even here's one. This is a small one. You can see this gap from this candle down to this candle, right? There's a small gap there. Price of the stock comes back, fills the gap. Okay, anytime you get a gap in the chart, it's really an inconsistency that's usually caused by some sort of news-driven event or emotional reaction to something. And that's what causes that overnight gap from yesterday till tomorrow morning, right? That emotional reaction to some type of news catalyst or whatever it might be. It causes a gap in the chart, and 90% of the time, they're going to get filled. So when you see a penny stock, right, that's starting to move on the day, like RKDA, you come in, right, you wake up in the morning, you know, hopefully you brush your teeth and you get a little bit of breakfast in your system. Maybe you schmooze with your wife, your girlfriend. If you did, you're probably luckier than most of the men out there. But anyways, with that being said, you wake up in the morning, you do your morning routine, you walk upstairs, you get on the computer. Next thing you know, you have RKDA popping on your screen. You go, oh my gosh, I haven't seen a penny stock in about 2 years. I didn't know they existed. It's kind of like a unicorn. You hear about them, but you don't ever see them. So we have this penny stock popping up, and you go, I might want to trade this. Yeah, you might. So let's take a look at the daily chart. What do we have in the daily chart? Do we have resistance anywhere? Well, not really. I mean, we have like arguable resistance, but the only true resistance we have, which again is arguable, is this little level here. That doesn't look good. Let me redo that. Is this little level here, you know, like at 338, you know, these two couple candles, and then we roll down. But that's not like significant. You also have resistance here, which is the start of the gap. You go down right there. That's more like the end of the gap. And then you also have the gap fill resistance. And then you also have the 200 moving average. Generally on a daily chart, penny stock or not penny stock, large cap or penny stock, the 50 moving average and your 200 moving average are going to, they can hold up as a moving average resistance. That's all I'm getting at. But anyways, so we come in, we find the RKDA is moving, we look at the chart, we see there's a gap fill, and we see the stock's moving. Now we think, if this is an explosive stock on the day, I can already see a magnet. When I say magnet, I mean like an attraction point, right? Somewhere that the stock may be attracted to going towards, right? You know, you can't go, oh, you know, RKDA is going to be a runner. It's going to go to 665. It's going to run to 1040 because it has been there before. Like, no, that's not how it works, okay? It could, but you don't pick that point saying that's where it's probably going to go if it's a runner. No. In my mind, right, when we're looking at this, you go, RKDA may be a runner. Well, we see it has this really big gap to fill. So if it becomes a runner on the day and it truly wants to run, what it's most likely going to do is attempt to fill the gap, because 90% of gaps get filled, and all gaps in any stock chart are seen as inconsistencies that need to become more consistent. So RKDA, we could look for a gap fill today up to 5. Is it going to happen? I have no idea, but it's something to pay attention to today. Give me a second here. I'm going to read through a couple comments. Thank you guys, appreciate it. Yeah, this is generally, so this is just this whole area you guys are seeing right now is purposely for streaming and making videos. On the other side of the room is where I have my trading station that has another 4 monitors, another table, and microphones, and all the other cool stuff. So over here is strictly just streaming, videos, interaction with everybody on YouTube, and so on. And then over there is where I actually trade, which is another room that way. Let's see. Gonna read a couple comments here. I have a lot of unicorns in my stable. Yes, Wizard Con. That's another good thing. Actually, I should probably stop doing this with my hands because it makes me look like Donald Trump. So let me tell you, gaps are created bigly, hugely. I mean, it's going to be so bigly, overnight gap, it's going to be huge, and everyone's going to love it, okay? No, but seriously, all gaps are created overnight, generally, almost 100% of the time. The gaps will be created overnight, okay? They generally happen from, close of bell, from after hours to pre-market trading session. Every once in a while, you will see an intraday gap. It could be on a 1-minute time frame. It could be on a 5-minute time frame. It's generally 1 minute or 5 minute that you can see intraday gaps. Right? Intraday gaps. So what I'm saying is on a 1-minute chart, every once in a while you see a candle actually gap up and then move. Know this. Anytime that I've experienced a stock that gaps on a 1-minute chart or a 5-minute chart will fill that gap on that same day. So, for example, RKDA opens up today and, I don't know, it's trading at $3.50, and then all of a sudden it pushes up to $3.80, and then the next candle gaps up 10 cents from $3.80 to $3.90, and then goes from $3.90 to $4.50. At some point in the day, it's most likely coming back down to at least $3.80 to fill that gap. Okay? So with that being said, RKDA is on the watch. All right. There's about 1 million other of these. There's like 1 million earnings reports today that you guys could watch if you want to. I'm just going to run through a couple of them that I can remember off the top of my head. FNKO was one, right? This was an earnings, but again, a lot of the earnings I'm seeing today are more or less on low volume. I would say the one that I kind of liked the most earlier was PBYI. The reason I liked PBYI is PBYI is because it was relatively cheap, about $11. Pretty decent jump to the upside. It's been holding kind of pre-market consolidation fairly well. So this is one that I was like, yeah, I could maybe see myself trading this. It's been beaten down, pretty good. It does have a gap to fill, which means it's not going to fill that gap today. That gap is just way too far away for it to fill. So again, when it comes to trading gap fills and thinking about gap fills, you do have to be somewhat conscientious of what it is you're actually looking at, right? And you do have to take time and consideration into what it is you're looking at, because you're not going to have a stock just go from 12 to 30 on any given day to fill a gap, right? So kind of paying attention to PBYI, but we'll talk about AMD here real fast, okay? Yeah, so AMRN, that's another good. P. Jonely, I'm going to talk about that here in just a second. P. Jonely asked a great question. Intraday gaps from halts. Fantastic question, actually. I was just talking about that yesterday. But AMD, crazy volume the other day, or that was yesterday. Crazy volume, 107, I don't even know. I can't count. 170 million shares traded a day. It's just insane, right? That's insane. So they're the company that got news with Google and Twitter, and their new chips are so great when you dip them in salsa. Wait, no, they don't do that. They make chips for computers. That's right. Anywhozer, AMD, pretty solid. 170 million shares traded yesterday. News with Google, news with Twitter, went flying. I made about $1,200 altogether by the end of the day on it. It was a good day. I had an overnight swing trade on it. We swung it yesterday from this low. It was a great day for AMD yesterday, nonetheless. Today, we're still going to be watching it, right? When you have a stock go that big on the day with that sort of news, it's definitely worth watching the second day to see if you get continuation. So the way I go about following AMD today is following it long. That's what I'll be doing. I'll be following it long initially to start the day and see if we can continue over yesterday's highs or even the 52-week high, which we'll see if happens. If not, that's fine. But again, I'd probably follow it for continuation before wanting to be short. Because what happens is when you get these really big stocks, or let me rephrase it, when you get these stocks that have really big running days, right? They have a really phenomenal, maybe it's 1 or 2 days, big run. The stock's up huge, right? And the first thing that comes to people's minds is, oh, wow, this thing's up so big right now, it has to come down, right? I'm going to raise my hand here. Yes, this guy. How many of you guys have seen a stock running like crazy and then you go, holy shit, look at this thing. It's flying. It's got to come down. I'm going to short it. And then you short, it might move down a little bit, and then you get squeezed, and then you lose some money. Well, now it has to come down because if I thought it was coming down before and it's even higher now, then it's got to come down. Raise your hand again, and then you short it again, and then you get squeezed again. And then you do it again, and then you get squeezed again, and then you do it again, and you get squeezed again, and then you do it next week, and it happens again, and you do it next year, and it happens again, and you finally go, you know what, I'm going to stop doing that because that shit just doesn't work. I've been there. Yes, this guy, I've done it multiple times, okay? So on a stock like AMD, has a really big running day. Today, there's going to be people watching it short. I'm even watching it short, right? You never know for sure, so I'm keeping it on watch short, but generally looking for a long because I want other short sellers to think, it's going down, right? And then see if we get that continuation. Because if we get enough people that truly think it's short and enough people do short into something like this, then, likelihood is it's going to have a 2-day continuation move. So again, we're watching AMD long. We'll see if we get it. If we don't, it doesn't really matter, right? At the end of the day, doesn't really matter. Okay, so AMD following long bias initially. This is a, wow, it's been so long since I bought this. It is an Ace, is it an Acer? It might be. I think it's an Acer. I have an Acer Predator gaming laptop. Yeah, I'll do some more research on this. I bought this a while back, probably 2 years now. Yeah, this is it's a really monstrous computer. So the reason I actually bought this computer that you see here, this is my Acer Predator gaming laptop. It's a beast. But the reason I bought this was for when I would travel and I'd hook up all my external monitors, and then I'd run a microphone and maybe a webcam and a cam. I mean, you need something that has some strength to handle all this. This went a little over the top. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I went into the store and was basically like, screw it, I don't care, I want it. It would handle everything I needed and then some, right? So, and the reason being is because I have had a decently strong computer that I would travel and I would trade with, and I was on vacation in Florida, and I was setting up my whole trading station one morning to trade, and then my computer shut down, and then it blew up, and then that computer never worked again. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to go on a trip and not have the right equipment to work, because then that causes a bunch of issues. So generally, and I'm not the most tech-savvy guy. When it comes to a computer, obviously you're going to want a good processor. You're going to want good graphics cards, right? You're going to want a good amount of RAM. So basically everything that makes the computer really expensive, you're going to want it. So good RAM, good processors, good graphics cards. Generally, that's pretty much what you need. All right, now I'm going to jump over into Roku. Okay, we still have all the monitors. Yeah. What happened to all the monitors? Are you referring to? Yeah. So actually, okay, I haven't forgot about you. We just did a giveaway of a few monitors, and I still have the 32-inch curved monitor that you're looking for. So just send me a message on Discord with your address where I can ship it to, and we'll get that taken care of for you. I know it's been a kind of while, and I didn't mean to leave you hanging. It's been a busy time. Um, Random facts. Generally, there's not good stocks to trade midday. That is your answer. That is truly it. Don't go searching for anything more than that because that is the answer. Generally, midday, new stocks just don't come along and go say, hey, trade me, trade me. It usually doesn't work that way. Occasionally, we'll get this move in the market and then things become good to trade midday. But generally, there's not. All right, so here we are, and we're going to talk about the halt gap here in a second. So anyways, I'm going to touch real quick on Roku. Roku, as you guys know, had earnings yesterday. The stock spikes up. It runs decently, pushes up, comes down, pushes back up, comes down. This stock is still primarily bullish. Throughout all of yesterday, it continued to trend higher. All right, we're still trending to the upside. Right? And we have a little bit of a downward trend there that we're starting to break over. So it's a little bit of a wedge, long developed wedge play. So I would still follow Roku long. As you all know, being short Roku hasn't done too well. So again, I would probably be long with Roku, looking for a second day kind of continuation off of earnings today. So that's what I'll do. If it doesn't go long, it doesn't go long. Again, you always got to make sure you pay attention to the setups. Last thing I will talk about before I head back. Yeah, basically, Keith, you're absolutely right. So last thing I'll talk about is intraday gaps again. The question was when stocks get halted, like going up or going down, fill their gaps. So let's see. How many of you guys have watched the stock, penny stock, pick up in volume, pick up in momentum? They squeeze up, they go crazy high. Next thing you know, they get halted because everyone's trying to buy them. And then they open up, then they gap up, and they're maybe run a bit, right? And then who knows, maybe they halt again, they gap up, and they run a bit. What generally happens after it does its good morning, or what happens after the first, couple initial moves up? Basically, the only spike up on the penny stock, right? So spikes up, halts, gaps up, halts, gaps up. Then what's the next move? Does it just keep going up, or does it normally come crashing down? It normally comes crashing down. It fills those gaps. So I'll actually tell you, one of my favorite plays that I make in day trading isn't actually by trading a penny stock that's going up. It's actually by buying the dip after the crash. So if you ever get a really good penny stock on the day that starts to run up, and then all of a sudden it starts to come crashing down and everybody's panic selling all at once, it goes zoom, halt, gap down, open, sells again, halts, gap downs, I buy it instantly. As soon as it unhalts and starts getting smashed down, I just start buying into that bottom. Because 90% of the time, it's going to come right back up and fill every single gap that it made coming down. So it's like the greatest long play. So, anyways, there you have it. With that being said, guys, I do appreciate you guys tuning into the video. If you guys could, give a thumbs up before you head out the door. Would really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys all Monday morning for another stream, possibly a couple videos over the weekend. I was looking at doing a Fibonacci video. I tried to do a Fibonacci video yesterday. It was so damn hot in the office. And then nothing just seemed to want to work correctly, so I ended up not making that video. And then I wanted to make a video on JNUG. But then the holdings on JNUG were just pissing me off, and it was just really challenging. So We're trying to get back into that workflow here. But anyways, with that being said, everybody have a great day, and I'll see you guys all come Monday morning for another stream.